In the far reaches of the galaxy, beyond the well-charted stars of the Interstellar Federation, lay the tranquil planet of Seraphon. Known for its breathtaking beauty, Seraphon was home to the Seraphim, an ancient and peaceful race of stunningly beautiful alien women. The Seraphim were revered not only for their elegance and wisdom, but also for their deep connection to the natural world around them. Their skin shimmered in hues of violet and silver, their long, flowing hair often appeared as a cascade of liquid light, and their eyes glowed with the wisdom of ages. The Seraphim lived in harmony with their environment, a world of lush forests, crystalline rivers, and towering mountains. They harnessed the planet's unique energies, using them to sustain their society in ways that seemed almost magical to outsiders. Despite their power, the Seraphim were a peaceful people, dedicated to art, knowledge, and the spiritual growth of their civilization. But peace, as they were about to learn, could be a fragile thing. One fateful day, the sky above Seraphon darkened as an enormous fleet of alien warships blotted out the sun. The Exolons, a brutal and merciless race of mechanized conquerors, had set their sights on Seraphon. Led by their ruthless commander, Vorex, the Exolons sought to harvest the planet's unique resources, draining its life force and leaving only desolation in their wake. They descended upon the planet with a fury that the Seraphim had never known. The initial assault was devastating. The Seraphim, unaccustomed to war, were ill-prepared to defend themselves. Their cities, built to reflect the harmony of their world, crumbled under the relentless bombardment of the Exolons. The Seraphim's desperate attempts to repel the invaders were met with overwhelming force, their advanced but non-lethal technology proving ineffective against the Exolons' war machines. Panic and despair spread rapidly among the Seraphim as they realized their world was on the brink of destruction. In the midst of the chaos, a lone figure plummeted from the sky. A small, heavily damaged spacecraft, trailing smoke and flames, crash-landed in the forested outskirts of one of the Seraphim's largest cities. Inside the wreckage was Commander Alex Hunter, a human soldier who had been part of a reconnaissance mission sent by the Interstellar Federation to investigate the sudden silence from Seraphon. His mission had gone horribly wrong when his ship was ambushed by Exolon forces, forcing him to crash-land on the planet. Bruised, battered, and barely conscious, Alex staggered out of the wreckage. His instincts, honed by years of battle, kicked in as he assessed his surroundings. The beauty of Seraphon, even in its war-torn state, was awe-inspiring, but there was no time to marvel. Alex knew he was deep in enemy territory, and the planet's inhabitants were in grave danger. As he ventured deeper into the forest, Alex came across a group of Seraphim, huddled together in fear. They were stunningly beautiful, their eyes filled with a mixture of terror and disbelief. They had never seen a human before, let alone one armed and ready for battle. Despite his own injuries, Alex immediately went to their aid, offering them the little protection he could. The Seraphim were both shocked and relieved. This human, a species they had only heard of in distant tales, had appeared out of nowhere to help them. Lady Saraluna, a prominent figure among the Seraphim and one of their most revered leaders, stepped forward. Her presence was commanding, her luminous violet eyes filled with a mixture of fear and hope. "Who are you?" Saraluna asked, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. "Commander Alex Hunter," he replied, standing as tall as his injuries would allow. "I'm here to help. We don't have much time. The Exolons are relentless, but I can help you fight back." Saraluna and the others exchanged glances. They were not warriors, but they knew they could not survive without help, and in this moment of desperation, Alex was their only hope. The decision to trust Alex did not come easily to the Seraphim. They were a peaceful race, and the very idea of violence was foreign to them. Their society had thrived on cooperation, understanding, and the shared belief in the sanctity of life. But as the Exolon threat loomed over them, Saraluna knew that they had no other choice. Saraluna, alongside a small group of Seraphim leaders, escorted Alex to their hidden sanctuary, a place deep within the heart of the planet's oldest forest. This sanctuary, a grand temple built into the base of a towering mountain, was both a spiritual center and a vault of the Seraphim's most sacred knowledge. Its existence was known to only a few, and it had been untouched by the ravages of the Exolon invasion. As they entered the sanctuary, Alex was struck by its beauty. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings that depicted the history of the Seraphim, their triumphs, and their tragedies. Glowing crystals embedded in the walls illuminated the temple with a soft, otherworldly light. It was a place of peace, a stark contrast to the chaos raging outside. In the center of the sanctuary, Alex met with the remaining members of the Seraphim Council. They were hesitant, their eyes filled with doubt as they gazed upon the human soldier. They had heard stories of humans, stories of their wars, their conquests, and their unquenchable thirst for power. But Alex was different. He had risked his life to save them, and that spoke louder than any story. "We are not warriors, Commander Hunter," Seraon began, addressing him with a mix of respect and caution. "Our people have never known the ways of war. We have always sought harmony, not conflict, but now we find ourselves facing an enemy we do not understand, one that seeks to destroy everything we hold dear. We have no choice but to fight, but we do not know how." Alex understood the weight of her words. The Seraphim were not just asking for his help, they were entrusting him with the survival of their entire race. It was a heavy burden, but Alex had never been one to shy away from responsibility. "I will teach you," Alex replied firmly. "But first, we need to strike back, and we need to do it fast. The Exolons are not just after your planet. They're after something specific. If we can figure out what that is, we might have a chance to stop them." Seraon nodded, a sense of resolve hardening within her. She and her people would do whatever it took to protect their world. Under Alex's guidance, the Seraphim began to prepare for battle in ways they had never imagined. Using their advanced knowledge of Seraphon's landscape and the planet's natural energies, the Seraphim helped Alex craft weapons and defenses that could stand against the Exolons. They showed him ancient pathways and hidden tunnels that crisscrossed the planet, routes that would allow them to move unseen by the enemy. With Alex's tactical mind and the Seraphim's unique abilities, they managed to assemble a small but effective resistance force. Over the following days, Alex trained the Seraphim in basic combat techniques, focusing on guerrilla warfare and hit-and-run tactics. It was a harsh transition for them, but their determination to save their world drove them forward. Despite their inexperience, the Seraphim proved to be quick learners. Their natural agility and deep connection to Seraphon's energies gave them an advantage, allowing them to enhance their movements and strikes in ways that even Alex found impressive. Seraon, in particular, showed exceptional skill. She quickly became Alex's most trusted ally, her leadership and bravery inspiring the others to fight with everything they had. As they fought side by side, Alex and Seraon developed a deep bond, one forged in the fires of battle and tempered by their shared commitment to protect Seraphon. Despite the challenges, the Seraphim began to believe that they could win. Each successful skirmish against the Exolons fueled their hope. But Alex knew that these small victories were only the beginning. The Exolons would soon realize that the Seraphim were no longer defenseless, and when that happened, their response would be swift and brutal. The final confrontation was inevitable, and Alex could only hope that when it came, the Seraphim would be ready. The turning point came sooner than they expected. After several successful raids on Exolon outposts, the Seraphim resistance had drawn the attention of Vorex himself. The Exolon commander, infuriated by the unexpected resistance, decided to take matters into his own hands. Vorex was a terrifying figure, even among the Exolons. His body was an imposing fusion of alien technology and organic matter, towering over the battlefield like a living war machine. He was known for his cruelty and efficiency, leaving nothing but destruction in his wake. Vorex led his forces directly to the Seraphim's last stronghold, determined to crush their rebellion once and for all. The stronghold, hidden deep within the mountains and protected by the Seraphim's energy shields, had become the heart of their resistance. But as the Exolon army approached, it became clear that their defenses might not be enough to withstand the full might of Vorex's forces. The tension within the stronghold was palpable. The Seraphim, though strengthened by their recent victories, knew they were facing their greatest challenge yet. They had fought bravely, but the Exolons were relentless, and Vorex was unlike any enemy they had faced before. As the Exolon army closed in, Alex gathered the Seraphim leaders for a final strategy session. The room was filled with a somber determination, each face reflecting the weight of the impending battle. "This is it," Alex began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We've hurt them, and now they're coming to finish the job. Vorex is leading this attack personally, which means they won't stop until we're all dead. But we're not going down without a fight. We have one last chance to stop them, and it's going to take everything we've got." The plan was daring, almost reckless, but it was their only shot. They would lure the Exolons into the narrow mountain passes leading to the stronghold, where the Seraphim's knowledge of the terrain would give them a slight advantage. Alex would lead a small strike team to confront Vorex directly, while the rest of the Seraphim used hit-and-run tactics to disrupt the Exolon forces. As they prepared for battle, Sarah Luna approached Alex. Her usual calm demeanor was strained, a hint of worry in her eyes. "Are you sure about this?" she asked quietly. "Vorex is unlike anything we've faced before. If you fall, we might not stand a chance." Alex met her gaze, a small smile playing on his lips. "I've faced worse, Sarah Luna. And besides, you won't be alone. You've got the heart of a warrior, and your people need you now more than ever. We can do this. We have to." Sarah Luna nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then let's make sure this is a battle they'll never forget." The battle began with a thunderous roar as the Exolons clashed with the Seraphim defenses. The narrow passes worked in their favor, slowing the Exolon advance and allowing the Seraphim to strike from the shadows. Explosions lit up the night sky, and the air was filled with the sounds of combat, the hum of energy weapons, the clash of metal, and the cries of battle. Amidst the chaos, Alex and his strike team made their way through the mountain tunnels, moving swiftly toward Vorex's position. The plan was simple but dangerous. Alex would engage Vorex directly, drawing his attention while the rest of the team set up explosives to collapse the tunnel, cutting off the Exolon command structure from the rest of their forces. When they reached the central cavern, they found Vorex waiting. The Exolon commander was an imposing sight, his massive form bristling with weapons and armor. His eyes, glowing with a malevolent light, locked onto Alex as he stepped forward. "So the human finally shows himself," Vorex growled, his voice a deep rumble that echoed through the cavern. "You've been a thorn in my side for too long, but it ends here." Alex didn't waste time with words. He charged forward, engaging Vorex with a ferocity that surprised even the Exolon commander. The two clashed in a brutal duel, the cavern shaking with each blow. Alex's experience and quick reflexes allowed him to dodge most of Vorex's devastating attacks, but the Exolon's sheer power was overwhelming. It became clear that this was not a fight Alex could win through strength alone. As the battle raged on, the rest of the strike team worked quickly, setting the charges that would bring the cavern down. Time was running out, and Alex knew he had to make a move. With a final, desperate burst of energy, he feigned a retreat, drawing Vorex into a trap. The Exolon commander, overconfident in his victory, took the bait. As Vorex lunged forward, Alex saw his chance. He dodged to the side, exposing a small, vulnerable section of Vorex's armor. With a powerful thrust, Alex drove his weapon into the weak spot, piercing through to the Exolon's core. Vorex roared in pain and fury as his systems began to fail, but the victory came at a cost. As Vorex collapsed, mortally wounded, the cavern began to tremble. The charges had been set and the tunnel was about to collapse. Alex barely had time to signal his team to retreat before the explosives detonated, bringing the cavern down on Vorex and sealing off the Exolon command structure. Outside, the Seraphim fought with renewed vigor as the Exolon forces began to falter without their commander's guidance. The tide of the battle turned in their favor, and with one final push, they drove the remaining Exolons from their world. The morning after the battle was one of quiet reflection. The once beautiful landscape of Seraphon was scarred by the conflict, but the Seraphim had survived. The Exolons had been defeated, their invasion thwarted by the bravery of a single human soldier and the resilience of a people who had never known war. As the sun rose over the mountains, casting its golden light over the battered stronghold, the Seraphim gathered to mourn their losses and celebrate their victory. They had fought not just for their lives, but for the soul of their world, and they had prevailed. In the aftermath of the battle, Alex was hailed as a hero. The Seraphim, who had once been wary of him, now looked upon him with admiration and gratitude. Lady Saraluna, who had fought by his side and seen firsthand the depth of his courage, stood at the forefront of those who thanked him. "You saved us, Alex," Saraluna said, her voice filled with emotion. "Without you, we would have been lost. We can never repay the debt we owe you." Alex, exhausted but relieved, shook his head. "You don't owe me anything, Saraluna. I was just doing what I had to do. You all fought just as hard, and you showed a strength I don't think even you knew you had." Saraluna smiled, though there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "You've become one of us, Alex. You've shown us a way to fight, to protect what we love. But you also reminded us of who we are, that even in war, we can hold on to our compassion and our hope." As the days passed, the Seraphim began the long process of rebuilding their world. The stronghold, once a symbol of their last stand, became a symbol of their resilience and unity. The Seraphim knew that they could no longer afford to be the isolated, peaceful people they once were. They had learned that there were dangers in the galaxy that they could not ignore, and they began to prepare for a future where they would stand strong against any threat. Alex, though honored by their gratitude, knew that his time on Seraphon was coming to an end. He had fought his battle, and now it was time to move on. But the bond he had formed with the Seraphim, especially with Saraluna, would not be easily forgotten. As he prepared to leave, Saraluna came to see him off. The strong, confident leader who had fought alongside him now looked at him with a mix of sadness and affection. "Must you go, Alex?" she asked quietly. "There's still so much we could learn from you, so much we could do together." Alex smiled, touched by her words. "I wish I could stay, Saraluna, but there are other battles out there, other people who need help. But I promise, I'll come back one day. Seraphon will always be a part of me." Saraluna nodded, though it was clear she wished things could be different. "You'll always have a place here, Alex. You've earned that and more." With one final embrace, Alex boarded his repaired ship, the Seraphim watching as he prepared to depart. As the ship lifted off, Saraluna and the others stood together, their hearts filled with gratitude for the human who had come into their lives when they needed him most. As Alex's ship disappeared into the stars, the Seraphim turned back to their world, ready to face the future with renewed strength. They had been through a trial by fire and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. And as the dawn of a new day broke over Seraphon, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them with courage and hope, knowing that even in the darkest of times, there was always a light to guide them.